100 Days of Gratitude, day 86. And today I'm grateful for alternative banking. Now, I'm sure that phrase, alternative banking, can bring up all kinds of different scenarios and meanings for each person, right? Whether that is, cash under the mattress, crypto, alternative, banks and exchanges. But I want to kind of narrow this to a little bit more of a accessible, a little bit more common to what we know of a bank. This is actually a very common bank that I've found and will be opening up an account with. And for me, this is in light of being aware of the financial system, what is playing out monetarily, and likely what is to come in the future. So many experts I've heard have said that, the banking crisis that we witnessed just a couple of weeks ago, this is basically the first inning of this unfolding, and that more banking crisis is going to come. And it's also on the heels of, in the last, when was that? A year ago or a little bit more, the truckers convoy, and we saw the absolute overreach of governments, government Canada, kind of freeze people's bank accounts if they were involved in donating. Didn't matter if it was $5 or 500 or 5,000 or any kind of amount. Just that overreach of the government and the willingness of banks to go ahead and comply, and seize people's accounts. Absolutely outrageous, and really sent a clear message of where our government stands, the type of actions that we'll take when anybody goes against its wishes, and the willingness of so many banks to do that. And that many other reasons, like most major banks, like if you have your money in, here in Canada, like the big major ones like TD, CIBC, RBC, pick your name, right? Whatever country you are, these institutions they're not your friend, right? And there's a huge misconception that when you put your money in a bank, it's not yours. They don't necessarily have it. If there were a bank run, which is what happened a few weeks ago, people start withdrawing, they don't have those funds. So there's a lot wrong with our banking system, and that could be a topic of conversation for another video, and honestly best shared by someone more knowledgeable than myself. However, I do know enough that for the last more than a decade, I've been watching this, been very suspicious of banks and the institutions, and where they invest, right, and the kind of things they're involved with or aligned with the government, so on and so forth. I have already been on the journey of alternative banking, and vast majority of my wealth I hold not in cash and outside of the banking system. Now, I do have bank accounts. I have money in the bank. I've got a mortgage. I use a credit card, debit machines, all these kinds of things. Like, there's a certain daily reality that we need banks. And I've, strongly felt misaligned with something like RBC. And, so I tried moving my business to a local branch, Alberta Treasury branch. It's okay, at least they're local, at least they're a little bit more aligned to community initiatives. They're more friendly to, small business entrepreneurs. But I still wasn't satisfied with that, was looking for something more. And that came to me a number of weeks ago. I was listening to a podcast, something I tune into quite regularly, Pacific Palisades, and they had an interview with the CEO of the Bow Valley Credit Union, and was super impressed by what he shared and how aligned philosophically I was. Not just philosophically, but practically as well. So as an example, like with the truckers convoy, like as a bank, they didn't participate in that. They're like, no, we're not seizing accounts. We're not doing anything. And the other thing that really impressed me was that they have gold backing. for their accounts. Not 100%, but name me one other bank that does have any percentage. So super impressed to discover this, and again, philosophically aligned. Plus, it's local, it's small, it's a credit union. They do profit sharing. And so I finally got on the call with them today, just kind of talk a little bit more about those details. And a number of weeks ago when I first heard about them, I was like instantly on the website, learning more. And at that time, they really detailed out this whole idea of gold backing and what they're trying to do with that, why they're doing it. They're really about educating their members. It is a membership-based thing, and that's kind of how the like a co-op, how the profit sharing applies. And then just this morning, as I was like, okay, I'm getting back on the website, diving into this, create that space to learn more about it, and finally take action to opening an account. And I couldn't find, and the only reason I mention this is if you go to their website now, there's no information about the gold backing. So when I called, they're like, yep, 100%, this is what we do. They're just revamping kind of their message about it. And the interview that I listened to, a lot of other people did too. So and even before, he's been quite outspoken, and he speaks and is on podcasts regularly talking about this. So they get like hundreds, thousands of calls, people inquiring about this. So they're just kind of revising their message that they have on the website about that. But and that'll be updated again soon, but when you call, you can find out that information, or you can go see them in person and learn more about that. So yeah, I'm going to be switching, not everything, it'll take some time. I'm going to open up first a checking account, kind of use that as my main primary account that I use day to day, and then eventually look to get mortgage will be a little while. I got to wait till that term is up, and then probably switch it over to them again, so long as all things go well and it turns out to be what I think it is. But on the surface, there's so much kind of stacked in the favor of going to them versus literally any other bank. And Bow Valley Credit Union, as the name suggests, it is more for southern Alberta. So if you're in Calgary, if you're in Canmore, Banff, Airdrie, you can absolutely bank with them. I believe it's anywhere in Alberta. But hey, maybe there's something else in your area, if you don't live in Alberta, where you can access a bank that is similar. There are alternatives. They're definitely not the most common. They're definitely something you have to search out and find. I only discovered about this a few weeks ago. And yeah, for all those reasons, I will definitely be shifting my business over there for the banking that I need to do. Again, I am not long-term invested in cash. Most of my wealth is out of the banking system and not even in cash, because I think there's some serious risks there. And yeah, I would just like to support somebody who's in a position of running and managing a bank and how they operate that's just a little bit more philosophically aligned with how I see the world and some of the troubles, the issues that have gone on, are currently happening, and kind of as a protection of in future. So anyways, that was part of my morning, was diving into that, learning about that, and day 86. Grateful that we have these alternatives. This is not the only one. There are other ones out there, and of course there are other ways to manage your wealth, manage money, and the currency that we all need to have, use, exchange in this day and age. There's lots of alternatives. So day 86, 100 days of gratitude.